to another episode of Transcending Veils. I am your host, D.E. Riley. And before I get into the introductions, okay, I just got to say something. To all you guys out there, I'm the luckiest bitch on the planet because no matter what I do, I am always surrounded by beautiful and intelligent women. And tonight is no exception. I have got three of the most amazing ladies in the world in the studio with me. First off, my partner in crime. She is a print artist, a sculptor. She is a moderator extraordinaire. She's a co host on Transcending Veils, and she is my personal friend, and she only lives a block away from me, the lovely and talented Alexis Reeves.
Hello, hello,
Lexi,
hello.
how you doing, sweetie?
Oh, I've been good. How about you?
It's been a little warm, actually, but I
It
think I'll
has.
get over it. Okay, the next beauty in my little trio here is the winner of our in studio Transcending Veils contest. She was the only one that came through that had the right answer to the question, how did Audra Moon and I first meet? So this young lady is this young lady is a writer for the Nerd News. She's a horror movie buff. She's interviewed some of the heavyweights in the horror industry in her career. She's currently working on two different screenplays. I'm proud to say that we've become very close friends through all of this. And all the way from the furthest reaches of the West Coast, we got Washington State's very own, the lovely Mandie Stevens in the studio with us. Welcome, Mandie. Glad you, glad to have you
Hi.
in, baby doll. All right,
Thank you for having me.
now, our special guest tonight has been on our podcast. I think what twice before now. Yeah, two
hmm
times. And I'm gonna. This is good. This is a list, guys. So hang on. She's a naturopathic healer. She's an expert in divine feminine mysteries and healing energies. She leads several women's wellness retreats a year. She, along with her best friend Amy Murphy, make up the paranormal investigation team known as the Soul Seekers Paranormal. You can find them on pretty much all social media platforms, including YouTube. The beautiful Tonya Steinborn. Welcome, Tonya. We are so happy to have you with us. Now,
Well, thank you for having me.
now,
It's always fun.
now, tonight is Tanya's, and I don't want to say story because it's not really a story. It's a tale of two lives, and she's probably the luckiest woman I know because I'm just she has met her past life self. That's so awesome, and that is the most incredible story I think I have ever heard. Um, But how in the world did all of that get started? How did you go about even?
I need to
Yes,
know that part
yes.
too. How?
The how. Yeah, lots of people ask me the how. So I think like to back up the story to really understand like how I ended up buying my house from a past life is that I was doing a lot of deep work for several years on my past lives, like figuring them out, doing healing work around them because my
Reiki healing, is that right? Do you do
yeah.
Reiki healing?
Yeah, I do Reiki healing. I do shamanic healing,
Reiki.
trance, mediumship. I do like all that awesome spiritual stuff. So I was really looking to heal certain things that I feel I've carried over from past lives. Things like I have one of my legs, I have like a crooked leg. There's like just strange things that I've had throughout my body and just different things that I feel, fears, phobias. Like I have fears of like bridges. When I was a little kid, I was terrified to go over bridges. Well, where do these things come from, right? Like, why would I be scared of bridges when I was like 5 years old? There's no reason, you know? So just different phobias like that I was really digging into healing. Like, how do I work through this stuff? How do I get over these phobias? Can I actually heal things on my body from working through my past lives and understanding what happened? Um, So I'd actually had a very fascinating experience before I bought my house from the past life, is that I had done some healing work on my leg, actually the one that's crooked. I was born that way. And I was working with my teacher. Like she's my mentor, my teacher. So we were actually doing healing work. She was working on me, like using Reiki and different types of energy methods. And she had actually, we went back to a past life that my mother in my past life was actually my wife in our past lives, and I had beat her so badly that I had broken and mangled her leg. And so that was kind of my guilt had come into this life.
Wow.
And I was born with this crooked leg because my mom had a crooked leg as well
Oh,
in this life. So this is work I've been doing for quite a while, for years. Yeah.
That's
So it wasn't just like by accidents, because I was working on it, that is why I was able to find it.
okay. Now you, I don't know where to start here. You are living. You own the house you owned in your past life.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
That.
I'll show you. I don't know if you can see because of the lighting. Here, let me move that. I don't know if
Oh
you can
yeah,
oh
see
yeah.
wow.
the glare.
Oh, it's
This is
gorgeous.
my house.
How did you end up there? And then how did you find out that it was your former home?
So I was living, so I'm in Canada on the East Coast, and I was living in one province, New Brunswick, which was beside Nova Scotia, and I wanted to move to Nova Scotia. So I was looking all over for different places, and it was the time during COVID, the province here was actually locked down. Like nobody could come in, nobody could come out. So I have my good friend Amy. She's here in Nova Scotia. So I'd sent them several listings to go look at, but I kept my eldest daughter actually showed me the listing for this house, and she's like, "Mom, this is so beautiful. This is like, look at the yard. There's just something about this house." And I kept circling back because I'd never been on this side of Nova Scotia. I had no clue what it looked like. I've been to lots of other areas, but I'm like, this is completely unknown. I've never even been on the Eastern Shore, right? So, but I kept going back to this house. I kept looking, like I'd look at the listings and then I'd go back and be like, oh, that house, there's just something about that house. So I looked at some other places, but it came down to just like, I really needed to know what this house looked like. I just really needed to know what it felt like. I needed to know like the area it was in. So I asked Amy, and she packed her kids up. It was like 8, 9 o'clock at night. She put them in their jammies. She put them in her van with her hubby, and they drove 2 hours from where they live to be here because I trusted her. Like I trusted her to feel it because I could see it like I can see pictures of it, but it's like, I don't know what's around it. I don't know what it feels like. I don't know what the energy is like. So I trust Amy. So she came here. First thing she said when she called me, when she was down outside the house, was she's like, "This is your house." She's like, "This is your house. Don't even worry about looking at anything else." So I put a bid on it first thing in the morning, and I got it. And so bought a house, hadn't seen it, just on faith, trust. Packed up my house, moved across, drove. It's about 3.5, 4. No, it's about 4.5 hour drive. Packed everybody up in the U-Haul, drove here, and as soon as I opened the door, it was like this familiar feeling. But I thought, well, I've seen pictures, I've seen video. Maybe that's what that feeling's about,
Like
like
a deja vu feeling.
just trying to make sense
That
of it in your
second
head.
guessing.
Yeah, because I mean, I had no idea, right? Until later,
Right.
as we were starting to uncover things, and then I had my visions, and then I was like, that's when I figured it was my house. But right away, it was this, like, I'm home. I just kept saying, I've never felt home any place I've ever been, not even my childhood home. Like, I've never felt
Wow.
home,
Yeah.
like home. I don't know how to just describe it. It's that feeling when you're home.
Right.
And I felt that here, and I was telling my friends, like I said, I'm home. Like I feel home here. I feel so familiar. Everything's so familiar. So as we were going
That's-
through the process of painting and ripping stuff out, all this stuff started happening in the house, like paranormal stuff right away.
Yes.
Right?
That's what we're here for.
How quickly?
Yeah, right away. Probably within the first couple of days, I had a diffuser, an essential oil diffuser, and it was just. I was sitting in the living room and it's just going beep beep beep, but like it's making all these weird noises I didn't even know it could make. Just the dog would constantly growl at the staircase and bark. My cats would get sketched out at this one area underneath the stairs. There was a bookcase on the wall. We pulled the bookcase off, and behind it was a hidden door, and it was underneath the stairs. And so, right away, the weird thing is that when we opened the door, so keep in mind that there was a bookcase screwed to this wall. I didn't even know there was a door there. And as soon as we opened the door, my daughter's like, "Is that my chapstick?" She had lost a Burt's Bees chapstick. And sure enough, we don't know how the chapstick, like it's a chapstick. I don't know if a mouse guy, I don't know how, but the chapstick got in there. And we're like, well, that's weird. And then I cleaned this whole thing out, ripped the carpet, vacuumed. Everything was clear in this this little room under the stairs. And then the next morning, and the door always will open itself. Like it's like a weird kind of door. It'll just kind of open itself. And so I'm like, what? Why is this open? So I open it up and there's these 3 cards laying on the floor, kind of like this, so that you can see all 3 of them kind of like spread out. And they were from the 70s. Remember, I don't know if you remember that old soap opera called All My Children?
Hey,
Like,
Oh, yeah.
Alexis
right?
does.
Like my mom used
Oh,
to,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
There were these cards, all my children, and they were all my children. There were 3 cards. I have 3 daughters. One of the cards had my birth year on it. Another card said bewitched.
Wow.
Like it was just, I'm like, okay, this is getting weird. This is strange. One of the cards that was the dark-haired lady on there. What's her name? But she kind of looked like me, and I was like, where did these cards come from? Like why? And they were right when you opened the door. They were on the floor, kind of spread out like this.
Yeah.
And I cleaned that room. There was nothing in that room. Nothing. The carpet was even.
And you know that.
So how did those 3 cards get there?
That is so weird. And I don't know. I guess from my past experiences, I'm sensitive to things like that anyway. Because when we first moved up here to Ohio, you know, we were looking for houses all around in the area, trying to find, you know, some place to live. And there was a few of them I walked into that I wasn't in there 10 seconds. I'm like, nope, no, not this. I'm out of here, you know. And my, you know, my wife is going, oh, but we can do this. And no, we can't. Not in this house. I'm out, you know.
You can't do anything.
Yeah. And this one walked in, and it was just, it was like you said, you just walked in and went, yeah, you know, this is it. This is where I want to live, you know. But and then I discovered the town itself, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that is absolutely fascinating. Now we were texting the other night, Tonya, and the Mandie and Alexis know this already. She sent me the coolest text I think I have ever got. She says, yeah, I'm just sitting in my living room that was once the death room in a house where I died, looking across the bay at a graveyard where I'm buried at. How?
yeah. That feels like a riddle inside a riddle inside
Way
a
to put
riddle.
that.
I love it.
It's like I told her, I said, that's the preface of a book right there. Why aren't you writing a book? And she's like, I gotta sleep.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta sleep sometime. So.
I know I got chills even just trying to put I couldn't wrap my head around that one.
That's
well, and
so
the interesting thing is like the living room, which I find funny. It's the living room, but was the death room where they would lay the. But that is
what's a death room?
I always am at. Like if you ask anybody, they're like, "Where's mom?" She's in the living room. Like that is where I feel so comfortable, where I just want to be. I can't describe it. Like that is
Yeah.
my
Now
room, basically. Like the living room
a
is my
lot of
room.
the older
Like, I love it.
houses, and we had in our house in Texas, we had one also. They will have a separate room, and this room is where they will display bodies after, for mourning after people pass. It's also a
Okay.
quarantine room, so if they got like the measles or something, they'll put them in there. Has a separate entrance to it. That
Yeah.
you don't have to go through the main front door. This one room has its own door to get in and out of. But it was just like a little, you know, room for
Yeah.
for
Is that more of an East Coast thing, do
well,
you
this was in
think?
Texas where I had that. So
I think it's just
it
old
yeah,
house thing.
Oh,
it's just the old
interesting.
houses, will
Yeah.
have something like
An
that.
older
Right.
tradition.
Yeah, they would.
How
One of
old is
these
your
older,
house?
they would have like a birth room too in a lot of these
Hmm.
houses. Sometimes a birth room would be
Oh,
bathroom. Like, so it was just
right.
different. Like, like could you imagine nowadays having our loved ones just
Right.
laid in our living room? Like that. That's such a weird thing for us to think of, but that was like normal
Hmm.
back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm not doing that. Yeah, half
Do
the
you know?
time
So
I'm
how?
asleep in my chair anyway. They don't know if I'm alive or dead. They just leave me there, So I may die and stay there till I start stinking before somebody realizes that, hey, Dad ain't moving no more.
Oh my. Oh, I'm sure someone would notice
The dogs, the
before,
dogs would. They'd get hungry.
Oh my,
Yeah.
that's just morbid. I need to know how old your house is. I would. How do you?
It's got to be at least, well, in the picture they're in horse and buggy. Like they got the horse and buggy going on. So it's the
Yeah,
1800s.
easily.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So it's too bad you can't. It's so small and it's an old picture, but I'm standing in this picture. I don't know if you can see it
It's beautiful.
because of the
Has there
glare.
been any additions done to it, or has it been remodeled or anything
So
like that?
right here, this part's into like a porch now, and there's not the covered
Okay.
deck anymore. The rest is, I mean, there's skylights. It's been modernized, obviously, but 1800s. But yeah, this is
That is
it.
so neat.
So I'm standing right. I know you can't see because of the glare.
Go to.
No, we can. I can see it pretty well.
Can you see?
It's
Mhm.
gorgeous.
So I'm standing there.
Oh.
That's me.
Oh
You have
wow.
you have that
It's hard to see.
you have that available
It's
online
hard to
though.
see.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's on TikTok on the TikTok Soul Seekers Paranormal now, just because Amy and I were doing so much stuff together that I just decided I didn't want to run two accounts, so then I just did it anyway. And she's been on the journey with me. Like she was there when we found the grave, and so she's been on the journey with me. So, but I have a whole playlist on TikTok
Cool.
on my house from the past life.
So you
There's lots of videos. Yeah.
did I understand right that you have actually contacted yourself? Is that the right way to put it?
In meditation, we've actually caught on video my voice saying my name during an investigation.
That must have.
And it was so clear.
Wow.
It was so clear. I can't, because it was on the ghost box, so it's like the
Yeah.
static, like, and then you hear the words, and it like you hear the static, like, and then it paused, and it went and then like it was so. All of us were like, oh, I was like, that's my voice.
It said your friend's name. The box said your friend's name.
It said my past life.
Oh.
Past life name.
She said,
Oh, okay.
That's yes.
Wow.
Okay.
I know it's hard to like, and it's like I don't really fully. I have theories about what's going on. Like when you're talking different timelines, like are we on the same, right? Like are we both existing here? Because so much paranormal stuff happens here all the time. So it's like, am I tapping in? Like, is it a timeline thing? Like, are we both existing?
Are you bleeding into each other?
Yeah,
that would.
It's like, if that's what it is, that's just a theory that I have. I don't, because I don't know. There's not like books on this. Like I don't know.
Right.
I'm just trying to figure it out myself of like what is actually happening.
Sheesh. That's
what
I don't know.
What's
I don't know if
Yeah.
I don't
It,
if I heard me talking to me through a spirit box, I don't know if I could handle that
Yeah.
because it,
Well, it was
I
amazing. It was amazing, and that's on TikTok too. On one of the videos, and it's so clear, and it's an older woman's voice. Like you can, it's like I recognized it. Like all of us knew. It was just like we all just like
Yeah.
gasp because we didn't expect to, and it was a very distinct voice. I don't know how to describe it because with the ghost box, there's a lot of different like voices and stuff that come through, but this one was, and we only heard it once, just the one word, her name, Anne, just plain as
Wow.
day,
Hmm,
and that was really yeah,
that
yeah, a lot of stuff happens here. We've actually been investigating at the graveyard to try to connect to like the gravestone because her and her husband, so Anne and Matthew, are buried together, and their children are buried, a lot of them beside them. So we've been at the graveyard, and it got cold because we're in Canada. So it's like we invited them back. Like we said, like, Anne and Matthew, can you please come back to the house? Can you please come back to your house, my house, our house? Please come back and talk to us because it's cold. But we said only Anne and Matthew. And we came home. We're sitting in the dining room, and no word of a lie, we hear bang, bang, bang on the front door. The dogs go barking. I'm like, oh my God, I got
Yeah.
goosebumps everywhere. I go running to the door, open the door, and nobody's there. So it was like, all right, guess they're
you let them
here.
Wow.
in.
We invited them.
That is
So
awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's almost too much to comprehend. I mean, I can't. It's so weird because my theory, my philosophy on things that there is no timelines, time's a circle,
Hmm.
and past, present,
Yeah.
future all are happening at the same time. We just happen to cross
Right.
paths at times, and that's where, to me, a lot of the spirit world comes in. We lost Mandie. I don't know where she went. We
She had
lost her
to
again,
move her.
but
She had to do something real quick.
oh, okay. Um, but uh, it's just so just so hard to comprehend, not having experienced it. And
Yeah.
let you in a little secret, guys. I have watched all that stuff on TikTok. I watched that whole story. That's why I got her on now. I'm just not giving shit away. Okay, you got to go see for yourself.
Yeah.
Um, excuse me, but it it's just such a an amazing story. Anything else you've discovered about the past you
Yeah.
that you knew or didn't know already just through intuition?
That's a good question.
Well, so at my past life, she died of pneumonia, and I was born with very
Oh.
weak lungs. Like I have very weak lungs, and I've never smoked. I've never been exposed to anything. I've constantly got pneumonia as a kid and pleurisy. I always had, and that's not a genetic thing. Like nobody in my family has lung
Mm-hmm.
issues. So that's something I feel like I carried over from that past life, and I'm working on that right now. This one's been a bit hard to heal. I'm still working on it, but so that, and I do feel like there's a component with her, my children. There's like I don't know if, and I'm still digging into this, like if, because not all the children are buried beside her, like beside them. So I don't know if she's slash me is concerned about that, worried about that. Like, where's my other kids? I don't know. There's some question
Mm-hmm.
around that we still have to figure out. Like, there's still a lot to figure out with this story, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, I can imagine it, and it kind of in something like that. There's so many layers, and it gets so deep that you could get lost in it. I mean, that's my sister a few years back got into tracing our genealogy, and she got so wrapped up into that was all she was doing, literally for
Yeah.
20 hours a day was
Yeah.
sitting there researching our genealogy. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, just can't imagine how deep you could get into that. That would be consuming, you know. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
naturally curious anyway, and I'd just get lost. I get lost in myself and
Well, I
myself
did
and myself.
in the beginning for quite a while. I was really, but then I had to, like you said, I had to like step back and go, okay, I gotta
Yeah.
live this life
Right.
too, right? Like I have to, I can't just focus so much. So I've kind of taken a bit of pause into the digging around, but I'm feeling. I was saying this to Amy the other day. I said I'd really like to bring the equipment here and for us, just because I'm feeling the call, I guess you could
Mhm.
say, to start digging in again, because I did take probably, we haven't done like I haven't done a lot, or like Amy and I together haven't done a lot for probably 2 years now, quite honestly, of just because I was, like you said, I was so focused and so like wrapped, like,
Invested.
yeah, in that it was like, whoa, I gotta live this life too. So
Mm.
because you can get very wrapped up
Oh yeah.
with
Have
questions and
you
wondering.
have you come into contact with your family from then?
No, I haven't.
No.
No. And I haven't like set out to do that, because although like we may understand it because this is our world, right? Like we are open to things like this, or we wouldn't be together talking on the podcast, right? Like
Right.
we would be like, what the heck? So I just don't want to offend or hurt anybody with like, hey, guess what? You know, and if they don't believe in that, and the Western world by large does not really like subscribe to
Yeah.
past life, right? Like other cultures, other places in the world, this is just part of their normal. But here, like Western, we just, there's not really a concept. It's almost blasphemy if you start
That's
talking
very
like
true.
that.
Yeah, you know, and that falls back on certain beliefs and religions and
Yeah.
stuff that I don't want to get into, you know, here because
Yeah, and it's very where I am, very old school, let's just put it that way, like old traditional, a lot of churches.
yeah.
So yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. Like even Reiki is like,
Oh
people
yeah.
go, ooh,
Yeah.
you're a witch. You're doing that. I'm like, yeah, I'm a witch. But they're like, no, you're a witch. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And not in a good way. So
Yeah,
small
I
town.
don't know. I don't know what has brought about that fear, you know. It to me it's just opening up your mind and being accepting of all the possibilities that there are in life, you know, and even afterlife, because there is so much that is unknown. There is so much mystery out there that if you, to me, are living inside this little protective bubble, you're never going to truly experience what the universe has to offer, because you're always going to be shielded by this little bubble, you know.
Mhm.
And that's what I tell people
Yeah.
all the time. Open up your mind and you're going to discover things you never knew were possible. You know, never knew were possible. But
That's fear, though. It's
yeah,
fear.
yeah, it's
It's
scary.
fear.
Hey,
You
man,
know,
I've run
like
into some scary shit. You know, I
it's
really have.
it's a lot easier to
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot easier to think you have
Agreed.
it all figured out.
Yeah.
It is.
Very much easier to go that route.
Yeah.
But pushing those boundaries is fulfilling and rewarding in its own way, because there's no way to know the answer. So I think it's almost a pretentious to pretend that one is right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you've got to
Mhm.
be open minded.
And that's, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what I try to do, because a lot of times um, when I'm talking to people, for some reason, people like flock to me for advice, and I don't know, because I'm old or whatever. But you know, when they have problems and things like this, but I draw off of like a ton of different religions and cultural beliefs in order to
Yeah.
base my
Yes.
opinions and my beliefs on. You know, I am
Yeah.
constantly quoting from, you know, Buddhist rules and theories and you know, Christian. I draw from all of them. Am I?
Well, that
Because
Right.
I don't think there's one singular that's absolute. You
yeah.
know, although you are going to have
Right.
people say that there is, but I don't think there's one singular absolute. But if you draw off of many, you can kind of get a good model for how you are going to go through your life, and how you can not only help yourself but help others, through life. And Tonya, I'm preaching to the choir with you because that's all you do is help people. Aside from the paranormal, I mean, you are like, you know, healing sick people and advocate for women empowerment and female wellness. It's just incredible the work that you do. It really is. It is fascinating. This lady is so, guys, she is so talented. It's just ridiculous. I mean, just crazy. And I am so happy you're on the show. Anything else? Anything else? You're the boss tonight, Tonya. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I just wanted to say, kind of like what you were talking about, is like, for me, the thing that really, I guess, opens things up is the fact that if you look at near death experiences, like for me, that is like, if you want to talk religion or you want to talk like faith based, like let's talk near death experience, because people from all over the world with different cultural backgrounds, different belief systems have that very almost identical experience. So for me, that says a lot, like that there is so much more than what we've been programmed to think, like there's a lot more out there, and that's a universal experience.
Right.
Like people from all
Right.
over have had these.
And for them to have such similar experiences,
Yeah.
yet different backgrounds,
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
it is. It's
Because
very
how could they be so similar if it were not connected in some spiritual, energetic way?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm still trying to understand it and wrap my head around it. So
Yeah. Oh, it's a fascinating topic. And so for like I was saying before about the fact that like Western world doesn't really accept this, but you go over to other countries and other cultures, and this is a way of life. Like people
why do you think do you think it's because we have organized religion, or why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think so. Like Western, we're pretty new at things, right? Like we're pretty new.
Right.
These cultures and these countries, I mean, you even look at medicine, right? Like you look at Western medicine as opposed to like Chinese traditional or Ayurvedic from India, and it's Western medicine is so compartmentalized. It's like you have a ear, nose, and throat specialist, you have a heart specialist, you have a, you know what I mean? It's very compartmentalized.
Right.
Whereas you look in these other systems that have been around for thousands and thousands of years, they see everything as a whole. They see you as a whole. Everything's working together as a whole, and they recognize energy. They recognize like that each organ has an energy to it, and so they understand things so much deeper and holistically than Western. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean? Like, so Western for
And
me is
again,
very,
there's so many layers to that too, because it's
yeah. So I just think it's not as accepted, and that's okay. That's okay. So if someday have experiences like me, and you'll understand.
Well, it's it's I don't know. It's hard for me sometimes to, and I'm heavily into the paranormal, obviously. But there's obviously, but there's times when I run into things and it's like, and I send Tonya videos all the time and about stuff. It's like, what do you think about this? And she's like, no, that's that shit ain't right, but she's my Bigfoot buddy. We trade Bigfoot videos back and forth all the time. But there's just so much that I want to understand about how everything works, that it's an endless learning experience, because you think, okay, I got this, and you don't have any clue. But going back to what you were saying about other cultures and other lands, most places celebrate death. They don't treat it like we do.
The
they
end.
still,
Yeah.
they still go out and sit with their loved ones on their birthday and have parties and have, special days and special celebrations to celebrate that.
Or bury them beneath their door frame so that every time they go in and out, they're reminded that life and death is just stepping in from one door to the next.
Exactly. And that to me is a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. It really is. 90%
Yeah.
of the people out there would be going, yeah, but that,
I just add that I have a personal on Tuesday we have a birthday coming up for someone in heaven and we will be celebrating because why not?
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely
yeah.
believe in that.
Yeah.
And people look at me funny for it.
No,
So I'd rather have the funny look than the
I don't,
experience than not.
I don't see that as the end to anything. All that, all you're doing
No.
is shucking this shell. That
Yeah.
that
You're just getting rid of
Yeah.
that
the
spirit,
Amen.
that soul, that is you, is going somewhere. That's the big mystery. Where is this going?
Mhm.
Is it going to another life?
Here's our
Yeah.
proof right
Is it
here.
going to another life? Is it going to a heaven? Is it going to a hell? If you believe in those things, who knows? I mean, I got into a huge, huge discussion with a preacher one night around a campfire. And oh man, it got like I thought he was going to just jump up and pop me one because of because I'm going no, that's bullshit. No, you don't say that to a preacher. That's the wrong
No.
thing to say.
Oh,
Found that out real quick, But he tried desperately to save my soul that night, and I'm like, you got no saving to do,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the big question. And yeah, the funny thing was, I'll tell you what happened. This funny story that me and Tonya and Amy all at the same time, they were doing a live on TikTok, and you guys had, what was it, the dowsing rods? Was it dowsing rods or was it pendulum that you were
oh
doing?
man.
No, it's pendulum.
I think it
Yeah,
was a
and
pendulum.
they were sitting there with a pendulum, and they were, people were asking questions, and they were reading the reactions off the pendulum. And I tossed out the question: did we know each other in a past life? Because we all just like clicked. It's like we'd been friends forever as soon as we started talking to one another. Those pendulums started flying around in circles, and they're going, "Yep, that's a definite. We knew each other in a past life. We don't know where, but it, according to
Yeah.
the energy,
You
it
don't
was
know
there.
yet.
It was definitely there. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
that was
incredible.
fun. That was funny. I wish we could have stayed on that a little longer.
Well, I think that happens. I think that happens a lot. I think that out of all the people in the world, why are certain people brought
Mhm.
together, and why is there familiar? Like, why do you feel
Right.
familiar with like that's how I was with Amy too. It was like she just felt like my little sister, and I felt like I had to protect her, and I felt like so bonded
Right.
to her instantly. And so it's like, why is
Yeah.
that? Like, what is it that there's something so familiar about these people that you feel comfortable that you? And my philosophy is soul contracts. Like people are, we reincarnate with the same
Yep.
And
people,
the funny thing is,
different roles.
we're sitting here talking about that. Yet the three ladies that are in the studio with me, I have that connection with all three of them.
Mhm.
With you and I,
It's crazy.
Alexis is like a daughter. She's like another one of my daughters. And well, we met at what? It was an art show or something,
Yes,
right?
it was an art show in downtown Warren, and you had the table next to me and my mom, and
Right,
you were
right.
selling your necklaces, and we just automatically started talking, and from there on out, and that was what, 6, 7 years ago?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was like we had known each other all along. I bought one of
yeah.
her pieces of artwork. I still have it
Bought
in
some
my
of your
dining room.
necklaces,
Um,
and we
That's
live
and
less
awesome.
than a minute from each other. So
yeah, just
yeah,
literally right around the corner.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
when I met Mandie, when she won the contest, her and I just started talking, and it was like old friends. We just started talking.
Well, we'd been connected before, but not as
Right.
deep,
Right.
as so. Yeah, absolutely. And we
Yeah.
talked about that. I call it my
Mm.
light pack, and I keep meeting them in random places.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um,
I mean it.
you're one of them, so you're
Yeah,
stuck with
well,
me
yeah,
now.
I could think of
That's
worse
for
things. I could think of worse things. But yeah, it's
Yeah, like so why is that? Like why do we feel so comfortable
Yeah.
around other people, and why do we, like there's things you got to
yeah.
work
Yes.
out with people too.
Yes.
Like I was seeing the story about like my mom and past life and crooked leg and blah blah blah, and it's like, well, there's things that we have to work out.
Mhm.
There's karma that we have to still work out in different lifetimes because we haven't
Yep.
completed it. So it's like I am working on working through that because personally I don't want to have to come back next time and have a hard
Yeah.
go at it. I want it to be a little easier next time.
Well, yeah, we all.
So I'm honestly actively working on working out my shit, with people and other souls so that we don't have to come back and do this again next time. I don't
Yeah.
want to do this again next
And
time
you
with certain people. You know what I mean?
and
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. The deal. The funny thing about it is really, and I think Alexis is the same way. And I know I am, and really kind of an introvert. I don't like
Yeah.
being around a lot of people.
It's very
I
draining.
don't go to movies because I don't want to sit with all those people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go places where there's big crowds because I don't
Yep.
want to be around all those people. I have
Mm-mm.
this very tight knit
Right.
circle that I love to be around,
Yes.
and I want to be around them all the time. And everybody else, not so much. I got my dogs. I'm happy. Leave me alone. So,
Yep. That's exactly how it is.
And once you
I'm the same way.
And once you start getting into that energy bubble, like I've noticed that, like when me and my friends, or I'll say my light team, I like that. Like it's like when we're together, we are so on a different
Mm-hmm.
frequency than everybody else in the room. Like it's like they don't
Yeah.
even see us. Like we've been doing like basically exorcisms on a public beach with a friend of ours that we were removing entities in her. And it's like nobody in the beach even looked at us, even noticed us. And it's like, why are people like freaking out? But it's like your frequency
Mm-hmm.
changes, and it's like you're there but you're not there.
That's a very good point.
People don't really
Yeah,
see
that's
you.
true. I've noticed that even out in
So
public, you either have people drawn to
yeah,
you, very specific people, and then everybody else they like see right through you. Like they don't even
right,
notice you. It's like,
exactly.
but
Yeah.
then there's other people that's like there's an
Yeah,
invisible line that gets pulled towards you, and you're like, I know you from a past life or something.
yeah,
But yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You're just it's a
Mm-hmm.
different frequency, and I work a lot with
Yeah.
sound healing and frequency and vibration, so I understand on like that level of like frequency. Like this is like you're here and they're there, and it's like you're both existing, but you're not really
Right.
existing on the same
yeah,
plane.
yeah. That's
Yeah, and so it gets less exhausting when you can go out like that because it's like you're there but you're not
Yeah.
really there. They're not they're not seeing you and grabbing onto you
Okay.
energetically and pulling from you, because that could be why you guys get
Okay.
exhausted, is because people will energetically hook you. They will attach to you, especially if they like your
That's
light, if
true.
they like your energy. There's energy
Oh yeah.
vampires out there. There's a lot of energy
yeah. That
vampires
must
out
be
there.
my
So if they
problem. Everybody is in love with my
yeah.
energy.
So they do. They'll attach to you
Oh yeah.
energetically and they'll cord to you. And so yeah, it happens all the time. And what I do is I just
Mm-hmm.
beam out love, like I beam out that higher
Right.
frequency, and then things don't attach to me as much anymore because I just go into my heart space and I just push that energy, that love out, and then those kind of frequencies can't penetrate quite as much. That's what I've learned.
When I was
I need to
doing
learn that.
when I was doing Reiki training, my mentor she put a protection. Um, she this was a long time ago, but she did something, and for at least I want to say at least a full year, I didn't have any physical pain. I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel drained, and then it was about after a year, then it started to lift, and then a bunch of bad stuff just started happening again. and there's a lot of physical pain and
Oh no.
being tired all
Yeah.
the time. But yeah, she definitely put a protection um, charm over me.
Yeah. Well, you can do that. You can do
Yeah,
that for yourself.
yeah.
You absolutely do. I find that instead, because I used to do a bubble
Hmm.
around me, but now it's like I feel like good stuff couldn't get in as much either. Like I felt like it
Yeah,
pushed everything
yeah.
away. So now I beam out instead of
Oh,
putting like a bubble
okay.
around myself. I beam out at like I literally just like when you think about your
Hmm.
things you love or your animals or people you love and you
Yeah,
get that kind of warm fuzzy feeling in the chest, I think of that and then I feel the warmth
push
and
it
then I
out.
push the frequency of love
Okay.
out around me so that
Yeah.
love
I love that.
yeah it's just a really nice way to move through the world is to move from a
Yes.
space of love and that frequency because it's such a high frequency the denser stuff can't really get
Okay.
through as much
Let's start
so
doing that.
yeah that's what I like to do is push that love out and people just smile like they'll just smile and I'll smile back at them and it's like I want to leave a little piece of that with people that I
Yeah.
connect with just to give a little piece of
Now,
love here and there.
now we're I'm going to jump back, regress. Do you feel, or have you found any type of proof or evidence that you in your past life was also a spiritual person,
Mm.
or possibly a type
That,
healer,
yes.
or a you know sensitive person? Have you come across anything like that?
Yeah, when we were renovating the house, we were tearing carpet up from one of the bedrooms that still had the old carpet, like because it's been renovated, it's went through many owners. So there was one bedroom upstairs that hadn't been renovated, so there was like carpet and linoleum. There was like 6 layers of flooring. Okay, we ripped up the 6 layers, and at the bottom there was 4 coffin nails, one in each corner, which is a
Mm-hmm.
protection spell. So there's been other things. That was the biggest one, was a protection spell. But I do believe she definitely was practicing. There was some type of maybe.
Do
I
you
would.
feel like you put them there?
Yes, I do. Yeah, 100%.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's
I
so
feel like
cool.
and if you watch my story on TikTok, you watch this unfold because I was asking that question. I was like, did I, in my past life, did I do this? Like, did I do these protection spells? So I truly believe that. I don't think it was like, I think it was like an old school type witch or magic. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like it was like old
Sure.
European magic, where you put the coffin nails in the corner and just that type of like. I don't think she was like doing any spells like that with a big
But
cauldron,
spiritual.
but spiritual,
And
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, and I feel that like this house has a very peaceful feeling. Like people just want to come and they want to stay, and it just feels calm and peaceful in here.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's nice.
I love
That's
it.
awesome. That's awesome because I've
Can we talk a little bit about the paranormal things that happen there?
Yeah.
Are they scary?
Sometimes. So in as you saw in the picture, there's like the main floor, and then there's the upstairs, and the upstairs is where the bedrooms are. And in my daughter's bedroom, my youngest daughter's bedroom, right from the get go, as soon as I came in the house, that was the only room that I felt unease in. Because I went to this one corner of the room and it was just, I was like, ooh, that's got to be cleared. I could just feel the spin. And we've had all sorts of stuff happen. We've had doors slammed in between us. She was showering one day and I got a text because she got out of the shower to text me. She's like, "Were you just in the bathroom?" And I was like, "No, I'm upstairs." She's like, "Something just came up and hit the shower curtain, and I heard them whistling." And I whistle, like I whistle when I'm happy and stuff. I'll just whistle, and so something hit the shower curtain, scared the crap out of her, and was whistling. And
That would scare me.
what did scare her? Um, I've been in this room, and my middle daughter was in the living room, and then I heard her going, what? And I was like, I can't come out, and I'm like, what are you yelling about? And she's like, well, what are you calling? Like, why were you calling me? I was like, I wasn't calling you. I heard you. I thought I heard you calling me. So that kind of stuff happens all
Wow.
the time, where we hear each other's voices.
Now, do you think that is
Weird.
malicious, or do you think that's just they're trying to let you know that they're there?
Yeah, I don't think it's malicious at all. I don't get a malicious feeling. I just get a, like, they wanted, like,
Mm-hmm.
attention. Like, and I've noticed that the house will go quiet, and then there's periods of, like, a lot of activity, and then it'll go quiet. And so I'm trying to keep track of, like, is it certain times a year? Is it a certain, like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Because it'll be super still, and they'll have a cluster of activity, and then it'll go still again. And that's kind of been the pattern. It seems to get more active in the winter, and I don't know why that is. But yeah, just stuff
Yeah.
like that. We've caught. We did a paranormal podcast where we were doing the investigation as we were podcasting, and a lot of the stuff was coming up through the ghost box of, like, back and forth talking about just different things. They actually acknowledged that they watched her in the shower. It was a male spirit had acknowledged on, like, all, we caught it all live because we were taping it, that he had watched her. He said she was fit. He said watching, like, it was just a bunch of words that was like, oh my god.
Now
It's like, that's all.
you just had a similar experience, right? At a jail
Oh yeah.
where
Yeah.
the spirit was watching her take a shower.
Yeah, we were in a haunted
So
jail.
hey, just to let you know, when I'm gone, you and Amy come come find me, okay?
Well, I was like, Amy's like, should you shower? And I was like, it was so hot and I was really sweaty, and I was like, I just need to, like, freshen up before we start, because we'd been investigating all day, and this was our second location. So I was like, I just need to have a little cool down shower. And then the ghost box was saying stuff. Oh, what all did it say? Shown skin. One part, you haven't seen this yet because we haven't released. There's tons of footage, but it said, like, butt cheek. It said, like, a bunch of stuff like. And then one of the girl that we took that's doing the documentary, she was on the ghost, like, doing the Estes method with the headphones, and she heard, like, in a male voice, is that Tonya? It's like, oh god.
Oh wow.
They recognized me and they called me by name. Is that Tonya?
Wow.
So it was fun.
That's funny.
That place is
That
awesome.
is funny. Yeah, good old spirits, man. You never know where they're gonna pop up. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
But yeah, it's been like, we found the grave site, which is, like you had mentioned before, it's like, where I live, it's kind of like a bay on the ocean. So I'm here and the graveyard's here. And so even before, like, as soon as I moved here, every time I drove, I was just like, oh my god, I'd love to be buried there. Like, that is such a beautiful, because this graveyard overlooks the ocean and it's absolutely gorgeous. And I said, even before I figured this out, about how I would love to be buried there, because that's such a beautiful graveyard. And you can see it, like, it's right across the bay from the house. And when we were, I had to douse to find it because it's a fairly good sized graveyard, and so I was using the dowsing rods, and it seemed like it was taking us a wild goose chase, but it was actually circling us around. And then when the rods came this way, it was like the grave site was, like, literally right in front of me.
Wow.
And it was that.
You already knew your name at that point,
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah, we were searching for the name. Yeah.
How did you feel when you came up to it and saw your name?
It felt strange. Like, I don't know how to even.
Just
It
indescribable.
It was almost like uncomfortable. Like, it was a little off-putting in a way, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, and I know by now that the actual body's probably really not there, but it's just,
Right.
It's just a weird.
Just the whole idea must have been just an incredible experience.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's been a ride.
All right, well,
it's been
a journey.
It's been a journey because it's like, but then I asked for it. Like I had been doing all this past life work, so it's not like it didn't just happen by accident. Like I was actively asking to work on my past life. Like I was doing past life healing for years before this, really diving into that. So I was putting, how I describe it is I had put myself on the frequency to find this because I had asked for it. I had been working on that. So it presented itself to me, right?
Yeah.
Because if I hadn't have been, it wouldn't have probably happened. If I wasn't actively working on this and actually asked spirit, like, please, I want to heal these things that I'm dealing with in this life that are connected, that I've brought through from past lives. And so I had been doing this work. So it's not, for me, it's not totally shocking that this happened because that's how spirit works, right? You ask.
That's it.
You keep asking and you're actually working on it. It's going to present, it's just going to
All right, ladies, I'm going to have to put a stop to this. I'm getting red lights flashing saying we're about out of time.
Okay.
Excuse me. But, Mandie, I want to thank you for joining us tonight.
Yes, thank you.
And
Thanks
I'm
for
sure
having
we'll
me.
talk more later on. Alexis, as always, baby girl, I love you to death.
Love you too.
Tonya, you got any plugs? What do you want to plug?
Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, just check out Soul Seekers Paranormal. I'm doing a lot with that. I'm also doing a lot of naturopathic consultations virtually where we go over all the stuff that's going on with you, and then I design a specific program for you and I work with you virtually. So, I do specialize a lot in like hormones and digestive health and, a lot to do with,
I'll be getting a hold of you.
Yeah. Where can they find you?
You can probably the best thing is to email me. Like I have a website, but I don't check those messages as often. So it's just Tonya Steinborn at gmail.com. TonyaSteinborn
And
Gmail.
Gmail?
Yes.
Gmail.com. And you can,
or
Facebook.
Whatever.
Look her up there.
TikTok.
You're everywhere. Soul Seekers Paranormal, by the way, guys, is everywhere. They're on YouTube. They got a great YouTube channel. Go check it out. I highly recommend it. But you can find them on TikTok. You can find them everywhere. Instagram. They're all over the place. Go follow this lady. Check her out. If you have questions, she will be more than happy to answer your questions for you.
And there's a whole playlist on TikTok about all the past life
There you go.
work, and we will be doing more soon.
No spoilers.
Oh, no.
No spoilers.
Yeah.
Must go look at.
All the spoilers you're going to get is what you got tonight. That's it. So,
Right.
yeah, go check it out. Anyway, again, ladies, thank you very much for being on. Hang on for just a minute. I'm going to end the recording, but I still need you to hang on for a second, okay? With that, guys, we are going to say good night from me, D.E. Riley, and Alexis Reeves.
Yes, good night.
You guys, as always, guys, keep it spooky.
All right, guys, you know the deal. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas for future episodes, feel free to email us at transcendingveils@gmail.com. Also, be sure to follow Transcending Veils on social media platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't be afraid to swing by D.E. Riley and myself's personal Instagrams at NotReallyWilly and at AudraMoon_. We got some spooky stuff going on there too. So until the next episode, can't wait to hear from you guys.